one of the reasons why we managed to sort of survive this whole world crisis was that the right people were doing their jobs. So I think it's the right person for the right job, and next 5-10 years, things can still change around.
Certainly. Any other comments from the panel?
I'll just let's open it up for question. But on demographics and people we are talking, I think it's absolutely, we talk about the demographic dividend and we talk about the fact that it is a big advantage, and it is a big advantage. But I think we have to very closely monitor some of the key indices associated with this demographic. We need to make sure that, the mortality rate is in control, the population control is there, education, literacy, because this can also haunt you if we don't manage it right. If you're not going to spend the kind of money that a typical emerging country at this stage should spend on its people and on health, I think we are going to have a major problem ahead of us. So I think what is a big advantage to us can become a big disadvantage. So I think, again, as policymakers decide on budgets and where to put money, I think this is an area that one really needs to focus on and further improve and make this a bigger competitive advantage than becoming a competitive disadvantage.
Thanks, Shadab. We'll now like to open the floor for Q&A. Please raise your hand, introduce yourself for asking the question.
Assalamu alaikum ji. My name is Ali Aftab. I work for an asset management company. My question is basically, I'm very honored to be here, and I actually, it's been very insightful. As a young person has started his career and has just had a work experience about 4 or 5 years, I've seen a lot. I've seen a booming Pakistan. I've seen a lot of optimism in the early years of my working, and I saw an economy which was vibrantly growing and a lot of optimism. And then came the 2008 crisis. We somehow got out of it as well. Right now, where we actually stand and where we actually see ourselves, we face a lot of challenges that we have heard just from our panelists as well, heard about. One very interesting point was that inflation that we have been facing, the common people of Pakistan are actually affected by that. Consumer durable goods demands could be high, but not for a common person on the road. It is very difficult to go get a thing that the person needs. My question actually is that in the wake of high interest rates, the growth of industry becomes very difficult. The oil prices, the rising oil prices that are going to be volatile in the near future, put a very high pressure on our economy. So is driving the economy with high interest rates compromising the industrial growth, and not tackling the oil issue with any other tool, is that a good solution to our problems?
I think one of our panelists already touched upon that, but I think you mentioned that this is something which is not curable through the rise in interest rate. But in case you want to add something to this.
Well, I totally agree with what the gentleman has said, and what is needed is to do some sort of comparative study of the interest rates and inflation rates and government borrowings of different countries in the world, and find out the cases where interest rates are still lower despite having the borrowings and inflation like ours, and persuade our big bosses, the lenders. And that is the job of our central bank and all those. And I think that is something very, very important. I totally agree.
Thank you. Question at the front. Just one second.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Shahid Qazi. I am a novice at banking systems and the interest rates. I have not been involved in interest at all. But my question is to Mr. Shahzad, and particularly with reference to his banking system, and the kind of spreads you are making in Pakistan, and compare them with the spreads that you're making overseas. What can be your contribution towards reducing the interest rates here and kicking in the economy?
I'm honored that Dr. Ishrat is going to follow, though he's not going to talk about interest rates. But I think that this debate will get into a very long one, and I can't answer it in 2 minutes. But there's something called real interest rate, and as students of finance, I think we all know what real interest rate is. Interest rate minus inflation rate is real interest rate. So I think the gross interest rate. So I think the issue here is that I go back to the real fundamentals. What's causing inflation is people are spending money, and if there's liquidity available, rather than taking the money and investing in infrastructure and in industrial growth areas, we are going and spending things. What happened last time around? It was spent on the wrong areas. So we need to be disciplined, and the government has to lead the way, and companies have to follow. I think what's happened is that the minute you start reducing interest rates, you're going to have a glut of growth that's going to be not sustainable. That is for a time period, and then you're going to see a series of NPLs and defaults and all sorts of things. So I think one has to be fair to the decision makers here that this is a real challenge that we have. And yes, we have an oil-dependent inflation, oil-driven inflation, but let's then show conservatism, let's show energy drive, that we're bringing the energy demands down. What happens? Because we are living in a highly subsidized energy world, when prices go up of oil and we are living in subsidies, nobody bothers to switch off the electricity because their bills are highly subsidized. The minute you're paying fair market price, guess what? We'll all start behaving as normal behavior would suggest. So I think we need to get rid of a lot of these disconnectivities before we start getting into the interest rate. I agree with you. It's very challenging when your cost of debt is sitting at around 17% to go into a new venture. It's not an easy proposition right now. But what is the challenge we have? And a lot of this is also being translated in high prices. Right now, for textile exports, the growth that we are talking about, 28 billion, 1.8 billion of the extra incremental export, 1.5 billion, 1.4 billion has come through price increases. So price increase is also coming in. So when you're saying that reduce my cost, then don't increase your prices either. So there's a lot of discussion that can go on, and I can get very emotional about this. So the best thing is I'm going to be here for tea, happy to take this on. And again, I would really like if Dr. Ishrat could also touch upon it if he chooses to, because I think this is a real conundrum that our country is facing, and there's no easy answer, just reduce interest rates.
Shahzad, if you allow me to make some small comment.
Obviously, I'm not popular here, but
It's
that's
very
okay.
essential that
I'm not in a popularity contest.
it's very
You see,
essential.
we are going through a very low growth rate situation, or maybe negative growth rate, I don't know. And by lowering of interest rates, we are afraid of hitting a very high growth rate. So can't we find a balance in between? Find a situation where we are sitting at one extreme and we are fearful of the other extreme. So shouldn't we be sitting somewhere in the middle?
Harun, I'm sure there is a fine balance, but it's not about reducing interest rate and high growth rates, reducing interest rate and high inflation. And then you talk about hyperinflation. And when you get into hyperinflation, no banker, no central banker, no prime minister, no president can save us. We are in a very fragile position. We really need to respect what's going on and understand it and try to bring some discipline, show some indicators of the fact that we are becoming fiscally disciplined, and I think then you can see it. And already you're seeing some of that tapering off. If you look at our treasury yield curve right now, it's looking very flattish right now. We were talking about this on our way on the plane, that, if you looked at it 6 months ago, it was a rising yield curve. Right now, yield curve is looking it's smoothing out. So I think there are signs that if we show discipline, if we do the right things, you will see a declining yield curve that's going to help industry, help the end consumer and everything. But we really need to also address some fundamental issues that our country is having in terms of other things. Obviously, you're saying cost of borrowing is one of your key competitive disadvantage. I talk to a lot of industrialists who say that because of high energy costs or no energy, they have some fundamental problems in terms of their other costs are also very high.